Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to the TV9 network. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the streets of Birmingham here. I've got some fresh dailies, and why I'm reading them is because less than 30 hours before Britain actually goes to vote, the battle for Britain, as people are calling it, is going to be certainly upon us. Now, is it going to be Rishi Sunak on the way out? Is it certainly Keir Starmer that is going to be leading the Labour Party? Or have people decided on voting for the reforms? Let's take a look at what some of the headlines are telling us at the moment. Many members of Parliament from the Conservatives are saying voting reform risks losing hundreds of Tory MPs for a generation is what they're saying. And right on the next page, you've got another big advertisement that's gone on to say, you've got Sir Starmer's photograph, and it says, on 4th of July, I ask you to join me in putting the country first and voting for a change. Now, the problem here is that many of them are saying they don't really know if the change that they're looking for is going to be able to help them at the moment, and if the Labour Party is the right party for this particular change. Now, this vote is about you will lose what you will lose if we surrender to Labour for a generation. People are thinking about wiping out Conservative members of Parliament for a complete generation. But if I could ask my camera person Nishit to just come in close in on this particular photograph over here. It talks about Ed Davey, says Labour rival in vile poison pen smear. But take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Davey here, you don't see politicians back at home doing this. Ed Davey taking a bungee jump, saying Davey looking for pole bounce after daring bungee plummet. Says if you're looking for the leap of faith, well then here's the example and sample for you. The politician has taken a jump. But over here, this is how politics shapes up. You've got a dodgy leaflet, which is Labour's Alex Harrison, who's written a letter on behalf of his opponent to the constituents, in that vile poison pen smear, has said, I'm going to read this out for you. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It says, the Labour Party has launched an investigation into the campaign material, but is so far standing by candidate Alex Harrison. Now, what Alex Harrison has done is that he's taken up a letter in the name of his opponent and sent it across the constituents. And in that letter, the opponent, which is the sender of that letter, says that, I'm not the right person, you shouldn't be voting for me. This is how politics is essentially shaping up. I'm going to be going across streets. I can see some people enjoying their pints, people heading out. Some of them are shopping, some of them are out for their work. Let's try and pick their brains. Let's try and understand who they're voting for, what are they thinking like. Yeah, joining with Anthony here on the streets of Birmingham. Many thanks for speaking to TV9, Anthony. The housing crisis, the homeless situation. I'm going to first come on to that before I, start picking your brains as to who's coming, Tory or Labour Party. What's your situation here? I see most of them are Britishers that are, homeless here. And how bad is that problem actually?
To be fair, I've been here living in Birmingham 4 years now, and I've seen it is quite bad, to be fair. You see them everywhere. In the UK in general, I feel like homelessness is a big issue that's not being tackled as much as it should be.
So when the Labour Party comes in and, somebody like Sir Keir Starmer says that, we're going to be really tough on the immigration laws, we're going to send all them back. The community here in terms of the overseas population is too huge and too big, and I see that the tertiary sector is riding on that pretty much.
I don't feel like that should be an issue. I get immigration's bagged, but some of them are fleeing. Some of them are in war-stricken countries. If they are here, a lot of them do come here to work. If that is it, then I see it as no problem, to be fair. You want to better your life just as anyone else does, really. So I don't feel like shutting it or being as harsh is a solution, because I feel like homelessness is always going to be a problem, no matter where you go.
What are you picking up from the rumour mill, from the Birmingham, the Brummie corridor, if I could call that, about who's coming, to power? Many are saying, I was roaming around, near the marketplace, and they were saying it's going to be a hung parliament as well. Do you have any idea about who's there at play? What are you expecting?
Not really. To be fair, I've not really followed it as much as I feel like I should do. But to be fair, it could be anyone's game. It's like anything, really. Anyone could get the votes, anyone could say something that could turn it off or turn it around. So
member of the Public Works Department. I see the boys are hard at work over here, but less than 30 hours before UK goes to vote, the battle for Britain is on. It seems like, there are lots of issues, the NHS, but economy and immigration seem to be those two top points that everybody's talking about. Now, there is no right or wrong answer here. I just want to know what's happening inside your mind. What are you expecting? What are you looking up to?
I think the country's a bit of a mess at the minute. I don't think anybody knows quite what they want. And everybody's...
Do you know what you want?
I just want everybody to be happy and get along and go.
How does that happen? How does that happen, Stefan?
Well, I don't think anybody's got the straight answer to that, but getting along, that seems to be the big issue for people at the minute.
If the country is a mess at the minute, what do you think are one of those 2-3 things that should be looked at first and prioritized?
Housing for one, because there's a lot of homeless people about. Work situation. I was just saying to my friend, I see all these people carrying shopping bags, but none of them seem to be working. I don't see how that is. I think the country gives...
A bit of a peculiar description that you've painted for us.
Yeah, I think the country gives too much money away to people, to be honest. But yeah.
So housing seems to be their problem right now in the homelessness situation. I was learning that there was a homeless council here that was, eradicated. It was brought down.
Yeah, it was. That was just after COVID and stuff like that. That was. But, yeah.
And what about the NHS? The NHS is also, relying heavily on
their knees. They're actually being brought to their knees at the minute. The NHS have, so fingers crossed. Hopefully things get better soon.
So you're saying nobody knows who they want to vote for, but they definitely want change. There are definitely problems that need, pragmatic solutions at right now. What do you think is going to happen after everybody votes?
I can't say, to be honest. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. But hopefully something good comes of it.
Well, joining me here now is Mark. I'm sorry to be troubling you here. You're enjoying a nice little pint, I can see. But less than 48 hours, when the United Kingdom goes to vote. And people back at home in India are really interested. They really want to understand and want to see what's happening here. Is it going to be the Conservatives? Is it going to be the Labour Party that's going to come back in power? And what role Nigel Farage's UK reform is going to make? What's your opinion? Let's get the snowball rolling here.
It will definitely be a Labour government. I think everybody understands that, and it's there's no chance for the Conservatives will not have enough votes to get into power. The Labour government will have a landslide victory, which I think will be dreadful for the country.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it's going to be dreadful? Why that adjective in particular?
Because I remember the last Labour government when taxes go up and nothing gets better, and all the money goes to little pet projects and to paying for things we don't need, and rather than paying for things we do need. I mean, they claim that the National Health Service got better, and it did up to a point, but as soon as they were out of power, there was no money left. They'd spent it all, and it's very well throwing money at things, but you need...
I do understand that there's somewhat of a fatigue. 14 years is a long time for any party to be in, at the ruling dispensation. I'm trying to understand here if the Labour Party's manifesto promises hefty immigration policies, a change in the immigration. How big of an issue is it here? Do people really think immigration is a big issue?
Immigration is a massive issue because uncontrolled immigration puts pressure on the NHS, on schools, on infrastructure. But we also have to realise that immigration is the bedrock and foundation of the NHS. Without doctors from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and China, without those doctors the NHS would collapse. So we need immigration. It's very important that we have it.
How do you deal with this catch-22 then? I mean, aren't you stuck between the devil and the deep sea?
Absolutely. Up to a point we are, yes, but it's illegal immigration is the biggest issue. We see thousands and thousands of people coming over illegally, and they are always young men. It's never families, it's never people who are actually fleeing persecution. Most illegal immigration appears to be economic immigration, which I don't blame them from. If I was in the situation they was, I'd want to go to a country where I can make a better life for myself, but it isn't sustainable.
If I could ask you and put you on the spot here, who do you think you're going to vote for?
Up until recently, I have always voted for Conservatives, but this time I will be voting Reform. And it's not for, and everyone instantly screams racism, and it's not from a racism point of view. As I've just stated, we need immigration. This country's got a very proud record in immigration. I think we welcome.
You think Nigel Farage has a little bit of an upper hand in this weird, peculiar situation that has now cropped up.
I think the opinion polls at the moment put the Reform Party at 16%. I think a lot more people will vote but won't admit to voting it because they don't want to be labelled as racist or xenophobic. But they're not racist or xenophobic. They just have the Conservative Party have completely lost their way. The Labour Party, Keir Starmer just says what he thinks people want to hear. He has no fixed policies. He just seems to be wavering. Whatever he tells it. If you
now riding on the back of Marine Le Pen.
Marine Le Pen is I don't know a great deal about French.
I mean, I'm just talking about the headlines that I've been seeing.
Yeah, I don't know a great deal about French politics. The last thing we or France needs is a far right party. That's how Hitler started, and nobody needs that. But I also think it's gone too far to the left, and the Labour Party and the Conservative Party are basically the same party. The only difference is everybody's sick of the Conservatives, so they'll vote Labour.
Well, Harry joins us here on the streets of Birmingham. Harry, less than 30 hours before it goes down to the wire and we finally understand what's going to happen. Hung Parliament, Conservatives, are they out? Labour back here to stay? We'll have to wait and find out. But what are you expecting? What are you thinking? What are you hoping for?
Well, I don't expect for much because I think we all know that politics is quite written off in its own respect. But here in Britain, I think that the Tories are going to lose because everybody is tired of their policies, their manifestos that they don't reach, which they breach, so they don't reach them. They don't follow what they say. I think, and as Keir Starmer says, vote for us, and then you'll get the change. So I think people in Birmingham and in everywhere in Britain are wanting change.
Many people are also saying that, last time the Labour Party came to power, they said that vote for Labour, you're going to see the change that you want. The taxes went off the roof, but you couldn't see the benefit on the ground. Do you think something like that is something that's troubling people in the head?
Possibly, but when that happened, I was about 4 or 5 years old, so that doesn't really apply to me. I mean, my family have been Labour voters from day, and I think now it's probably coming to light that even Conservative voters are thinking, oh God, maybe should we or should we not vote? So I think it's not going to be a hung parliament. I think it will go all Labour's way because people just want change. They're sick of the same old shit. Sorry.
All right. We'll sort of censor that little bit of a profane thing. Yeah, we can. I mean, thanks, Harry, for talking to us.
No problem.
Well, we're joined by Sakita here, and we also have Lewis with us. Little Luca is chilling up, staring me right in my, in my soul at the moment.
He's a moderator for the questions.
Yes,
You all have to go through Luca first.
All right. UK elections, less than about 30 hours. The country's going to polls. There's massive fatigue that we can clearly see. I'm going to delve away from the topics and issues in Birmingham because you seem to have a better idea about what's happening. But many suggesting that it's going to be a hung parliament, many saying Conservatives have to go out, but don't know whether Labour's the right way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It won't be a hung parliament. I really hope it's not a hung parliament. We've had it before and it's just not effective. We don't get the majority to make any change, so I'm really hoping it doesn't swing that way. As for the fatigue, look, I think people will vote for change. I don't know if it's necessarily a wish for Labour to come in. Labour's not pushing enough for a change. Keir Starmer himself is not, I don't believe he's a charismatic leader enough to bring about that change. But what people do want is a difference from this Tory government. We're tired of our cost of living going up and up and up, seeing comparatively things changing across the world, and that's just not getting the same standard of life that we used to. So I definitely think people will vote for change. I think the biggest worry we have is not enough people will turn up to vote because everybody will assume that the vote is going to go towards Labour or Green or Lib Dems or whoever. The assumption is people will vote away and then enough people won't come to the polls to make the change. And the danger there is you invite Tory votes, but you also let people like Reform UK come in. Yeah, but you invite people like Reform UK in, which is very, very dangerous. Agencies like Reform UK stand up for something that Britain is not. They promote, without saying it, racism, non-multiculturalism, and that is not what Britain's about. I'm born and brought up here. I've never had a problem with anything like that. And the thought behind Reform UK is to cause that divide. But what I will say on Rishi Sunak, and the reason where you're probably not seeing that same effect, is I just think the veil is lifted. I noticed it with elder generations. The first time the vote came around, people were really excited to see a man of colour, and then obviously one of us to come on the podium. Oh, he represents us, he shows us who we can become, and you realise that that's not the case. And I'm so glad, and it's not just with Rishi Sunak, it's other people that he put in place. You know, you've had the same with Preeti Patel, and you've had that, and I'm not going to keep mentioning them, Suella Braverman, but you saw that time and time again, and these people are just disappointments. They are brown faces that do not support rights for us, not even rights. What I mean to say by that is, like, they don't want to level the playing field. They are just a brown face put in there to make us feel like we're part of the system. But look to see what the change they've made, and it's nothing.
Many thanks, Sugita. You've been giving us, real grateful insights. Just before we go, Luca, who's going to win? Is it going to be the Conservatives or the Labour? Well, Luca says the people of United Kingdom will win if they do head out and vote this time around.
Yeah.
Many thanks for watching. Thanks, Sugita,
Thanks so
for
much.
speaking to TV9 Network.
Take care.